Hi there. It's a small request with a new video. Hello from summery August here in Finland. July was pretty crazy. We had over 20, I think it was 23 days of somewhere in Finland being plus 30 degrees, which is pretty much unheard of on these altitudes. But I took all out of it, pretty much. I went to swim almost daily. I went to the gym, outdoor gym, a lot. And here I am eating some of the finest that the nature has to offer. Nordic blueberries, filled with antioxidants and nice foresty flavors. And the best thing to eat before a video, to get that redness all over your face and teeth. So today I had the feeling of wanting to do a video about a subject that has been with me throughout my whole life. And the subject is being a short king. Short king is a fairly recent term, for me at least. I guess the usage varies, but from what I've seen it used is short people who are actually good people. Whether like what that's supposed to mean, but I have a lot of thoughts on this subject, mainly because I am of short stature myself, and my views on it have changed quite a bit throughout the years. I don't know how convoluted this will be, but I will try to keep it concise. So, as you may know, I am of fairly short stature. I am 165 centimeters. You can do the calculations to feet if you use those. And I am maybe like 10 centimeters below the average height here. So I am fairly short. And it does interesting things to human being when you differ physically from people around you. Whether it should is another subject, but we can talk about that too. Let's change the scenery a little bit, because ants were crawling literally all over me. And there's also some noises coming from the lake, but we don't have to care about those. So, when I was younger, I honestly didn't think about my height that much. I wasn't much shorter than the other people around me in elementary school. And also, I come from a short family, so that's all that I was used to seeing. And right now I'm actually the tallest in my core family. So that tells you something about the height of our family. I started to notice the difference maybe in the upper secondary and then on the junior high. When I was in elementary school, I was fairly shy, especially when it came to anything romantic. And I guess that's very usual around that age. And I didn't put any of the blame to my height back then. I was thinking in other ways that I'm inferior to others and channeling my frustration towards that. But then throughout the years it started to switch up a bit, and I started to feel a little bit of more frustration towards my height being the number one reason that I am not as successful with ladies. And as you can see from the themes that I ended up talking immediately, it always tends to revolve around relationships, this issue. So I haven't been really bullied because of my height, but there have been some remarks here and there throughout the years about me being of shorter stature than the people around me. And actually there was an interesting moment just like a month ago at a work environment. I wouldn't consider it bullying, but a little bit of like picking on about my height and making kind of like physical references that whether someone at our work should be Asterix from Asterix and Obelix, it would be me just because of how short I am. And this actually evolved into a little bit of a conflict with the person, and I confronted them with their behavior, or because of their behavior. And that's something that I haven't really done in my life, being confrontational. And I noticed in this moment of confrontation as well that I started to get triggered. There was this trauma trigger that I started to get heated up in my body, and I felt like feverish and not well. And this is an interesting thing, or it was a very interesting moment to me, because like I said, I haven't been that confrontational before, and I think that I have found some inner confidence from living on this planet for more than 30 years that I'm able to stand on my own short feet on these type of situations. And I feel like the result of this confrontation was fairly positive. The other person flustered a little bit, and we ended up maybe avoiding each other for a few days and then getting more friendly. And maybe this is the reason why I have started to think about this subject again. You see, there were years of my life when I was blaming my physical attributes a lot, and then it started to wane off to the point that past few years it has only been, well, I'm trying to be fully honest here, so I would say that it has still come up in my mind quite a bit, that it's not frustration but chagrin, or just being overall kind of like sad about it, that like, why can't I be taller? But I also noticed that I really haven't been bullied because of this, and it felt like a new revelation to me that there are still people who do these type of remarks about other people's attributes that they have no control over of. So yeah, I'm trying to be fully honest and give this male perspective about this issue, or a non-issue, whatever you want to call it. And let me preface this in the middle of the video that I'm fully aware of my privileged position of being born in a wealthy country, in an okay family, being white and heterosexual. So the intersectionality is mostly advantageous to me. I would argue that the shortness is one of the only kind of like things working against me in this heteronormative culture that we are living in. Let me fix up the shadow. It's so sunny up here. So yeah, I understand that I am very privileged, and it may sound as I am making up issues where there is none. And that maybe has a point, that argument. So let's talk about it. Is it an issue that you're shorter than the average people? Well, in most of the life, it's not. There is some advantageous things about being short. It's easier to get full. There's less cancer in short people. You can fit into places. All those little things. But then there is also some biological arguments working against being short, of that taller people are maybe better companions, or that the ladies are more interested in tall people. And I know that's not the case for everyone, but you can do some sort of a calculation on it, and I would at least argue that it's better to be taller than shorter on the Tinder, for example. Now Tinder is a toxic place in any ways, but still. So has it affected my relationships? Well, no, in that sense that all the relationships that I have had have been positive, and my height has never been an issue in them. But when I'm single, I feel like it has affected a little bit, especially on platforms like Bumble and Tinder. When I inform my height, I get a lot less swipes. And I don't know if that can be attributed to the height alone. Maybe my bio is bad and there's just some kind of like blind spots in my own personal view of myself. But I know that there are a lot of ladies out there who are as interested in shorter people as they are in taller people, or just they have a preference of a short guy. Some people like it when the lady and the man is kind of like equal height. But what it has affected is my personal view of myself. And the things working against me being okay of my height, I feel like they are in modern times reinforced by a lot of people, especially online. And the online space is full of problems. People like Andrew Tate and Aiden Ross and Sneeko and all those type of male influencers just red pilling male audience, and I feel like there is this machinery behind this phenomenon that those people who have found success in talking about male wellness, they tend to make their audience feel bad about themselves, and then they are the ones who can give them kind of like a way out of this misery and feelings of frustration. And what it usually entails is just to blame the women with their preferences, and also blame the society, and maybe do some physical improvement of yourself. And that is probably the only good thing coming from those platforms, in my opinion. There's been a lot of talk about incel culture and male misery. A lot of the people who are in those groups tend to blame women about their own issues. And I'm not a fan of that at all. I think there is almost never in life a need to blame others in general, especially like a collective of people. We can focus on individuals and their wrongdoings, but talking about a group of people, like 50% of people from gender, and blaming them is it's a low blow, because the dynamics with sexes and all other dynamics in life, they work both ways. And when it comes to height issue, there is an interesting dynamic, and it has been actually studied in psychology with the name of Napoleon complex. And I like to kind of like approach the issue of Napoleon complex in a more, put it into a more approachable, well, not approachable, but expand on it, let's just say. What they have found out is that sometimes shorter people tend to be more Machiavellian. And what that is a little bit of like it's slightly like narcissism, thinking that you're better than others and working in life through that viewpoint. And it's basically this idea that if you're shorter, you tend to get more strong in the emotional sense when it comes to power dynamics. And that is the point that, in my mind, gets expanded on a more kind of like a collective way that also works in, for example, a lot of relationships. When there is a power imbalance in the physical sense in a relationship, the other person tends to amp up their emotional power to the best degree that they have learned how to do. And what that can mean is either getting victimized, feeling victimized in every situation, sometimes rightfully so, but sometimes not. And then it can also be other type of emotional manipulation, making other person feel bad, or just kind of like pushing the other person down more to their level. And this is something that I have woken up from, I feel, I hope. That I have had a lot of frustration in my life in different ways. And I have not consciously, but I have subconsciously been emotionally manipulative in some situations. Just like focusing on my own bad feeling, and then other people tempt to me. That type of situations. And that can be very toxic also. Just focusing on own issues, and then other people come for help. And in a way, it's a nice thing. It's a beauty of human nature that we can help each other out. But sometimes it's uncalled for and unnecessary. I have noticed that like I have been not physically strong in situations, and I have kind of like talked my away from physical conflict situations, for example, which is a nice thing, as well as just choosing pacifism. And that is one of the best things that have happened to me, just understanding that I am of peaceful nature and just living my life through that lens, because it's a positive thing and you don't need to kind of like use any of your negative aspects on the emotional side to get away from harmful situations, for example. Just knowing your own limits and finding your own boundaries. So about being short and how to view yourself, well, I'm not gonna give like tips or anything, but I can share some things that have helped me in my own way of viewing myself. And I would say that like the best thing in life is to focus on your own personal issues, and you can categorize them to things that you have a control over of, and then things that you can't control. There are also some things that we can't control, but we could be able to control. Well, the physicality of your body, the muscle, for example, we can have a control over of. So that is something that we can focus on in our life. But the height of us, that's something that we don't have a control over. So it's a non-issue in that sense that we can't do anything about it. And if we can't do anything about something, then why focus on it? It's such an easy way to channel up your frustration to things that we can't control. So it kind of like tells us that, okay, the universe is just unfair, and it gives us a reason to feel bad. Whereas in reality, we can choose to not dwell on these issues and focus on the things that we can have a control over of. And those are things such as the muscle mass that I talked about, and then mental health. We can observe our own behavior, find out our own blind spots, find out the things we have issues with other people and with ourselves, and then try to kind of like find peace with different things in us. And that way we are kind of like going step by step to a better mental health and better view of our own self. And that's a beautiful thing that I like in life, that we are actually able to progress throughout one lifespan to do better and better in many aspects of our life, and to just like work on self-betterment. And that also includes things like empathy and helping others. We can always help other people more. And sometimes we are physically unable to when we are feeling bad, or just focusing on our own issues, and we don't just have time for it. And that's also something that the society does. We find ourselves in situations where we feel just busy all the time, and that may be sometimes good in life, but when it continues and continues, we may end up finding ourselves from this Ferris wheel of work life, just work and sleep basically. So I feel like it's good to find power inside to get motivated to, for example, exercise, which gives you more power to do other things in life, and just focusing on those moments when we actually help other people, and it has like a positive result on our own headspace as well, and then just taking note of that, integrating it in our own framework of working out in this life, and it may be kind of like a tipping point to some better better modes of behavior, let's just say. So again, what is a short king? It's a person who is of shorter stature, but being short hasn't changed them to a kind of like a worse human being, but they're actually fine with whatever they're doing, or that they can kind of like shine light in other aspects of their life. And one more thing about the relationships from my experience. A lot of years of my life I have been blaming the my shortness and saying things like this is why I don't get matches, or this is why women are not interested in me. But I have also noticed that I have integrated some unhealthy things to how I perceive myself. And that is, for example, that like there have been quite a numerous occasions in my life where I have found out later that some people were actually romantically interested in me, but I just couldn't see it because I was just focusing on the integrated idea that of course these people are not interested in me. And I just haven't, because of this ingrained idea of inferiority, I haven't really done anything about the romantic side of actually approaching someone and asking them out. But some recent years I have had more positive development in this sense. I have tried to integrate this idea that I shared some minutes ago about not focusing on the issues we don't have a control over, but focusing on the things that we can be better at. And like I'm not like a machine trying to learn to be better at some things, but it comes naturally, I feel, throughout like just living your life. And I have noticed that I am fairly easily approachable of a person, and I have a lot of lady friends in my life. So I've noticed that like when I'm easily approachable and quite a lot of people just like want to talk with me and stuff, it gives me a lot of more chances to be social with different type of people, and also with a lot of ladies. And throughout time, it can evolve into something that's romantic. So there doesn't need to be this idea of going on a fast date and getting laid a lot. That may work for some people who have maxed up their charisma and horniness and stuff, but I'm not a person like that. It's just a weird way of living that's easily kind of like you can be jealous of it, but it's not always so nice to be like that either. So I have just by being myself, being a kind person. That's nice, actually, to say out loud. I don't want to be like boasting, but I would consider that I am a kind person and also decent and empathetic and stuff. And a lot of women seem to like that. And it works against the narrative that a lot of the red pillars online are pushing, that you need to be just like manliness, and also like my father said to me always that like you have to be swine for women to be interested in you. And it kind of like twisted my mind from early on in life and has shaped my youth quite a bit. But throughout my own way of living life, I have found empowerment through this behavior of just being a good, decent person, and that just gives you so many more opportunities in life to actually at least like get a chance for a romantic relationship as well. So I don't want this to be a relationship advice video, because I'm in no way like a good person to talk about that, being single for many years now, basically. Just some some happenings here and there, but still I'm not frustrated of that most of my life. Sometimes I'm sad because I would like to settle down and start a family. One reason this thought of being short, this idea of being short, has been in my mind lately is also this crisis that I have found myself from. And that's the coming of age crisis. I'm realizing that I am old and getting older, and being alone romantically can get harder and harder, and getting involved in the relationship game can also get harder and harder, so the frustration levels may amp up through that process. So I am hoping that I am finding peace in the future as well, from the way of how I'm approaching life, and just being okay with myself, honestly. And I would argue that most of the time I am doing just that, being okay. And how to feel okay about yourself? By doing things that are good to yourself and things that you can progress in life, focusing on being as good in work as you can be, and then doing some progress in your hobbies. For example, I've been in the gym almost daily now. I think I already mentioned that, but I'm mentioning it again because I'm feeling so proud of myself for being active in that regard, because it hasn't been part of my life for quite some time. So it's just nice to do a lot of physical exercise and being okay about the way you look. And for that, I am very grateful for a few of my friends in my life who have kind of like pushed me to go to the gym and be more social in the exercise game as well. One other hobby is just painting and doing music. There is some challenges in the music. For example, now I'm part of a band who will perform in few months, and it will be an interesting challenge and way to kind of like prove myself that I'm able to work in this fairly interesting environment. We will be playing film music on a film festival, and it's exciting, but also I'm a little bit nervous of it because I'm not a huge fan of performing live, but I do like to get praise, and that's embarrassing to say out loud, but I mean, it's just a way of life. And also in work, I love when I'm able to perform. There are these informational kind of like 15-minute monologues that I'm able to keep here and there, and then seeing the interest in customers and me being able to talk without notes for that long about factual history and making it interesting is such a nice confidence boost, to be able to just like play a character for once in a while. Because you see, we are characters here. All of this persona, the identity, it's just like latched on to us throughout the years, and I don't know what's at the core, if there's anything, but accepting this illusion can be very fun. And the nice thing about these personas and ideas is that like they can work even if we understand that they're an illusion, mostly. That's it for now, and I would be very interested in hearing other people's perspective around this topic, especially the kind of like the ladies side of it, because I haven't talked about it that much, and whenever I have, it has been positive most of the time. A lot of women in my life have said that like the height isn't really an issue, it's more of how you behave and stuff. So that's about it. And I'll see you in the next ramble, whatever it may entail. See you. Good night.